Happy Wednesday, everybody. No, it's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. See, even I'm confused. So, for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Lindsey Hall, and I'm an intimacy and empowerment coach. And I am like, my purpose in all of this is to help women deepen in intimacy with themselves and with others, really own their power and their pleasure, and just live a life that they absolutely fucking love. And it just lights me up inside doing that. And part of my work is I do these tea break chats every week. So I come on and I spend a little bit of time talking about life, about what's been going on for me, lessons that have come up, that sort of thing. And then I answer your questions. And I usually do them every Wednesday, which is why I started this by saying Happy Wednesday, because that's what I usually say. But it's a Tuesday today, because tomorrow at this time, I will be boarding a plane to America. In fact, I'll probably be sat on the plane on the runway at this exact time, is my guess. So we are going home for almost 3 weeks, and I can't wait. I'm taking my two little girls, just the three of us traveling across seas. We've done it twice before the past 2 years, so in theory I know what I'm doing, but I'm still a little bit stressed today. So I am going to keep this shorter than usual because I need to go finish packing the carry-ons and do all the snack prep and all of that, because I bring enough snacks to feed an army. So I'm going to keep this kind of short. And also, I don't even know what's up. My hair seems to be a mile high today, and I feel like there's just stuff going on today. I'm kind of a bit scattered as I try and make sure I have like laser focus on the getting things ready. So you probably don't want to hear me talk just about the prep for my trip, probably because I'm going to talk about the actual trip for the next 3 or 4 weeks after this. I am planning to do the tea break chats while I'm there, so the next few will be live from Wisconsin. Oh, I've even got my Wisconsin sweatshirt on today. But so this last one here, like normal life, if you will, what do I want to talk about? There's been some big stuff going on in my personal life, but not stuff that I can share or that I'm willing to share right away. Because as you guys know, if you've been here and watching my stuff for a while, I'm really open and genuine and authentic and share lots and lots of stuff with you guys. But that said, I don't share everything, and nobody on the internet should ever share everything, because there's stuff that's personal to us and that doesn't need to be shared broadly and publicly. And a lot of my stuff that goes on, I might not share in real time, but I share it then after the fact, which is cool too. But all of that is me kind of buying some time while I figure out what it is I do want to tell you. And what I will tell you is this weekend has been the most amazing weekend I have had. And not ever. I've had lots of really amazing weekends, and actually I feel like there's been more and more of them recently. So I say this phrase quite a lot, but it has been a really amazing weekend. And I put up a post yesterday, I think it was, about pleasure being found in so many places and in so many different ways. And I want to speak to that because pleasure this weekend looked like such a wide variety of things. And I want to use that as an example of it doesn't always look one way. And when I talk about pleasure, I do not just mean self-pleasure like having a wank or anything like that. I mean, that pleasure definitely counts, and I do mean sexual pleasure, both with or without a partner. But I mean so much more than that. Pleasure is something that you can bring into your life all the time, and that helps like build up your pleasure bank, and it does these amazing things for your body. It does amazing things for your nervous system, calms your nervous system so that you can then go and do more of the deep inner work, which is so crucial to all of this stuff that you can't do if you're constantly in like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, like, survival mode. It just is way harder when you're coming at it from those trauma responses as opposed to from a soothed, regulated point of view. And the soothed, regulated place is what pleasure can do for us. That's why I talk about it all the time. But when I talk about it, like I said, it's not just sexual pleasure. So for me, for example, this weekend was just infused with pleasure the entire time. It was like magical. And it started, before the weekend even started, with me practicing getting clear on my desires, stating my desires to other people, and having them witnessed and recognized and met. And that's huge because even just figuring out what we want is not always very easy. It's kind of the starting point for all of this. It's figuring out what you want and how to get clear on your desires. Not just like a one-time exercise, but all the time, like learning to recognize your own desires. And then learning how to state them out loud and tell people. It is absolutely like a fundamental foundational practice in all this, but it's so hard to do at first. It takes so much practice. So that was the start, was me figuring out what I needed and voicing that. Then pleasure has looked like, it's been little things, it's been big things. So it's been cups of tea all cozied up in bed and really taking the time to like luxuriate over my morning. I was journaling in bed while having tea and biscuits, writing a love letter to money and writing a letter like pouring my heart out to money and exploring the relationship between me and money, because money is an energy and relationship. So that was really fun and pleasurable. I found pleasure this weekend through amazing food. There's been so much good food. Went for a walk in the woods. So it rained. If you're anywhere, I don't think it's all over England, but if you're anywhere near the north of England, for sure, you know that it's been raining for days. It's still raining now. And there's been so much rain over the weekend. So but instead of letting the rain, and I would usually say I'm not a big fan of rain. I don't understand British people. Like, it's one thing to get caught in the rain, but another thing to like intentionally go out if you know it's gonna rain. Like, why? I don't get it. That has been my stance for the entire, it's almost 13 years now that I've lived here. And now I seem to be becoming British. It is raining, yeah. It's always raining right now. But I seem to be becoming British because I willingly went out for a walk in the rain. It was starting and stopping and starting and stopping like it's been doing all weekend. And instead of staying caught inside, decided to go out. So I was going to go out for a big, long walk in the peaks. Decided, because there was actually thunderstorms forecast as well, instead of going out in all that exposure, which is not wise, to go to the woods, which also could be questionable because you do not want to be under a tree if it gets struck by lightning. But we are down in a valley and decided it felt a much safer option. So went for a walk in the woods, and it was so amazing. Like, if you saw my stories, you'll see I said I had this like big stupid grin that was plastered to my face the whole time. Like, there would be so many moments where just stopping and listening to the rain coming, and especially like on the way back, we're up on a hill and we were dry, like it wasn't raining on us, but I could hear the rain pounding down. We could look over the hills and see the wall of rain coming in closer and closer. We could hear it getting closer and hitting the trees, and then, yep, sure enough, it hit. But like just getting to take all that in and noticing that sound of the rain in the trees, noticing the smell of rain in the trees and on the mud. And then there was like a few times where, because it kept starting and stopping, I'd be standing in the trees and in a clearing and the sun was streaming in, where like if you've been in the woods and the sun is just coming down those beautiful patches, and then it started raining and it was all just glowing and it's like a freaking fairy kingdom or something. It was so cool. So just taking in the pleasure from those moments, as well as like instead of sticking to this kind of defined path, just exploring and going, like climbing over trees. And there was one bit where I had to like scramble along a little wall where maybe it wasn't the greatest idea in the rain and wet, but actually it worked out fine. There was one spot where I did slip and fall on my ass and I was wearing shorts, so I had mud like all the way down my leg and grazed the back of my leg, but actually landed in quite a good spot where I didn't do any actual damage. And it was just funny because I didn't get hurt, so it was shocking, but it was funny. It was like, well, I guess I'm covered in mud now. So that was like a huge source of pleasure. And then the next day, I actually ended up going out for that long walk that had been planned. And it was, I can't remember how many kilometers it was. It was reasonably long, but it actually took longer than the straight kilometers would tell you it would, because there was a steep incline, which there always is for walks in the peaks often. But then the coolest part was that part of it was this like scrambled down a huge rocky ravine. It was really steep and really rocky, and the whole thing had water running through it. Like it It was a stream-ish, but because there were so many rocks everywhere, it was just like water flowing down through all the rocks and picking our way down through the rocks. And it's like this giant puzzle because there's no right or wrong answer. You're just picking your way through the rocks, scrambling down. And I just could not stop smiling. It was so cool. And again, got rained on the way down. We could see it coming across the hills. Got rained on. Couldn't wipe the stupid smile off my face. So that was great. Went and saw a band it was at like one of my favorite music venues in Sheffield. It's just a small little back room of a pub, but I've seen loads of music there and I always love it. But this band was one of the best. They're called Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, and they are from Indiana, USA. And they were amazing. Like, could not stop moving and dancing, and it was so energetic and so much fun. So if you get to see Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, highly recommend them. I just couldn't, again, wipe the stupid smile on my face. And what else? There was more. That was like the things that I can point to. But then pleasure being found in like deep, intimate conversations and just new explorations of things. So you can see, and I can't help it again. So I guess, like I said at the beginning, I'm trying to use all this as an explanation for pleasure can come in so many different ways, and being open to them. There was one point as well at the end of the walk where it was absolutely like chucking it down on us. It was, because sometimes it was like a light little sprinkle, and this was like the full out, like being pelted with rain. But I could hear like a whole chorus of bird song. The sheep were making beautiful noises, sheep noises. We could hear the mud like squelching under my boots as I was walking, hearing the rain hitting, and just really like lost in the sensory experience of it all. I was like, just pause and like take all this in. And it was just so cool to be so fully in it, so fully immersed in it, to let all of this pleasure from the whole weekend just like soak in. And it'd be so, the same weekend could just be easily like, you just do those things and you know, you're just living life and you're going and like, yeah, that was fun. Like, you know, I had a fun weekend. And that's kind of like the norm probably. And certainly what I would have done in the past was just, I'd be doing those fun things. I used to do fun things in my life too, but it's different now, because now I let myself feel all of the pleasure and feel it in deep and let it soak all the way into my pores and down inside me and down to my sacral chakra, and just let it all like really soak in. And that, like I said, it soothes my nervous system because I was really stressed about this trip. But it soothes my nervous system. It tells my body that pleasure is the norm rather than stress being the norm. The more we can fill our bodies with pleasure, the more that becomes the norm. And our body's like, oh, I like this. Can I have some more of it? And it's this practice to notice letting the pleasure in, to find the pleasure in things, to invite it in, to ask for more of it. And again, going back to knowing what you want and stating your desires, like the weekend, it was so great in part because I could say what I wanted, and then when I can say what I want, then there's a much higher chance of it getting delivered. So really it gets to be this beautiful, beautiful practice in letting all the pleasure in. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to say on that. I said I was going to keep it short, and actually that was probably as long as I usually talk anyway. And I have to get back to packing. So, yes. Let the pleasure in. Let it change you. Let it soak into you. It is absolutely worth it. You can tell by the big freaking smile on my face. Okay, questions for this week. There was 2 of them, and I am going to answer them pretty quickly. Have I mentioned I have to finish packing? Because I have to finish packing. The first question was, if you could stay, and it's not actually a coaching question, but I like it, so I'm going to answer anyway, is if you could stay at any age forever, what age would you be at? And I'd say now. I'm 36, and I would stay 36 because I am loving this so much. Like, this is my favorite year, I think, so far. I mean, I absolutely adored, I had a happy childhood, and I'm sure there was loads of good stuff, and I know there was loads, not I'm sure there was loads of good stuff in my childhood, but like there's no specific year that stands out to me as like that was the year. And like, and I loved college and I had an amazing time. I had great, um, like amazing friends in college, and just like I've had all kinds of good stuff, but I really didn't even have to put much thought into it when I saw this question come through, because it's like, well, now, because I know so much more now than I ever knew before. I've had so much more experience. I can work through my shit so much easier. Oh my God, was there like at all of the ages before, there was always like there was more drama of some sort, or things would take longer to like work out, or I didn't know how to feel my emotions, or all of the things. But where I am now, this continuous growing and this continuous expanding and this continuous learning, like I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I would almost be willing to bet, well, not almost, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that next year I'll say the same about 37, and then I'll say the same about 38, and then I'll say the same about 39, and then I'll say the same about 40, and so on and so on. Because it just is never ending, all these amazing things. And like, yeah, the more that I know, the more tools I have at my disposal, the better I handle things. I don't handle things perfectly now by any stretch of the imagination, but I keep learning and I keep going and keep trying to do it better. And that's going to keep happening. So now is the age I would stay at, but I'm glad that I'm hopefully not going to. I'm glad that there's hopefully going to be more and more and more growth to come. Then the second question I had this week was, where do you start when you feel lost? And man, do I feel ya, because I definitely felt very lost before. And I remember, for me, it was specifically after I'd had my first child, which I know is common, but not the only time to feel lost by any means. To feel like, who am I? What am I doing? What is the purpose of all of this? Like, what do I even like? This is also really, really, really common after a big breakup, after a divorce, as well as just life in general. So when you feel really lost and you're like, I don't even know, you come back to pleasure. Pleasure is a starting spot. I didn't actually plan all of this, by the way. This is just working out really well. Also because that is the theme of my life. So it is no coincidence that it's all working out like this. But pleasure is what grounds us back in. So you come back to pleasure and you ground back into you. So what does that mean? So rather than starting with big stuff, like if you're feeling lost and it's like, what am I even doing with my life? Trying to like start by figuring out a whole new career or figuring out some big move somewhere isn't actually where I would start. I would start by going back to you. What makes you happy? What lights you up? What did you like as a little kid? Go back to the kid version of you and ask them, what did they like? What was the most fun game to play? Thinking about childhood summers, what are you like when you think back to that, when you're like, oh my gosh, I loved doing that. What did you like to play? What were your favorite games? What music did you want to listen to? Did you have certain like dolls or action figures or like figurines, or did you love coloring, or did you have, did you love getting on your bike and going for a long bike ride? Did you love jumping in the lake and doing cannonballs and making the biggest splash that you could? Did you love cooking? They can be big things or little things. Maybe it was simply just, oh my gosh, I remember sitting in the evening sun after dinner, feeling the sun shining on me and being as quiet as I could so that mom and dad forgot that I was still awake and wouldn't send me to bed. And I just wanted to sit there in the silence in the sunshine. Like, it can be anything, but try and tune back into those things. Try and spend some time asking your inner child, what did they love? And doing some of that now. Also then, that's always my starting point. And then you can try new things too. Look around and see what's around you to try new things and find out what lights you up. Go new places, try new classes, that kind of thing. I personally find that can be a little bit scarier because they're unknown, which is why I always say start with the stuff that you know that you've loved in the past and try and rediscover those things. But also there's a whole world of stuff out there that we didn't even, our inner children didn't even know existed. So I think coming back to those things and finding what feels good to you and really starting to plug into the pleasure. So going for the walks outside, if that's your thing, like it's my thing, or cozying up and watching movies, or, getting out, finding ways to be creative, maybe making music or making art or writing, whatever it is, but finding ways to bring more pleasure into your life will then, and learning to listen to yourself and what it is that lights you up. So that's part of the process, is by reconnecting to what lights you up. You're learning to listen to your inner self again, and you're learning to respond to those little like bing, bing, bings inside of you. And the more you can listen to and respond to those little bings of pleasure inside of you, the more you'll notice them, the more you can follow them, and they become this like breadcrumb trail leading to your desires. In fact, I think one of my mentors, Charlotte Pridmore, might have said that your desires, what is it? Okay, I'm going to be paraphrasing, and it could have been Charlotte. It might have also been my other mentor, Chelsea Page. All these things come in, and I remember the lesson, but I'm not always great at remembering where it came from or exactly what their phrase was. But following those little pings of pleasure is a breadcrumb trail leading you to your desires, leading you to your purpose. So don't start with that end thing of, I need to figure out this end piece. Start with the small things in here, because the small things really are the big things, and they will lead you on the path to finding yourself unlost, to finding who you are again. And that is also something that, by the way, can totally do in one-to-one coaching, because like I said, losing who you are and losing track of that is so common, especially after a divorce or a breakup or having kids. It's not that those things are what cause you to lose yourself. They can be a little bit, but also those kind of like big life milestones trigger the noticing of that lostness as well. So yeah, very much something we can discover doing one-to-one coaching. Okay, that's it. I'm going to wrap up there. I think this is probably a bit shorter than usual, but actually not all that much shorter, because I talk a lot, if you hadn't noticed. So thank you for tuning in today. Like I said, this is an unusual day. It's a Tuesday today, not a Wednesday, because I'll be on a flight to Wisconsin tomorrow with my 2 little babies, who are not so babies anymore. And then I will be in Wisconsin for the next almost 3 weeks. Planning to do the tea break chats while I'm there, but the times will shift because it's 6-hour time difference, so the times will definitely be different. So stay tuned, and I'll let you know what time they're going to be. And anything else I want to tell you? I have been promoting, shouting about, absolutely gonna do so now, inviting you into Elevate, my one-to-one coaching package, which it lights me up so much. It is called Elevate because that is what we do together in coaching, is elevate your whole fucking life. It's not about one specific area. It's about elevating you, and that permeates out to everything else in your life. So it is my one-to-one coaching for badass, brilliant, beautiful, brave, bold women who have decided that this isn't all right where they're at. They want more. They want to keep elevating and keep going wherever they're at, wherever you're at. If you have decided, you know what? This isn't enough. I want more. I want this to feel even better. I want to take bigger moves, or maybe smaller moves. But whatever it is, I want it to feel good, and I want it to feel aligned, and I want to keep fucking going. That's who this is for. This is for you. People who want to dig in deeper, uncover more, shine the light on more, and continue elevating. Have I said that enough? That's what it is. So package details are on my website, or send me a message, but it's 3 months of one-to-one coaching together. And I would love to invite you in. We can start even while I'm in Wisconsin, or we can start when I get back. Start date is up to you. But first thing you need to do, attention. First thing you need to do is there is a link in my bio to book a free introductory call with me, where we will jump on a less than 30-minute call. Just make sure that we vibe together. You can tell me a little bit about what it is that you want to, like why you want to get into coaching with me. Just make sure it's a good fit for both of us. And that is very much, it's not a coaching call. It's a let's explore if this is a good fit. But there's no obligation whatsoever on either of our parts, I should state. It is a fact-finding and a vibe-checking kind of call. And then if we want to continue working together after that, fantastic. And if one of us says, actually, I'm not sure this is a good fit, then that's okay. There are so many incredible coaches out there and so many incredible clients. And I do not believe in competition amongst any of us, because it's about finding the right fit for both parties. And there's more than enough to go around. There's like, if you're not a vibe for me, there's amazing coaches that will be a better fit for you, and vice versa. So waffling now. That's the point of the free intro call. Get that booked with me first. The link is in my bio. If you don't see any availability on there that works for you, or you want to get in sooner than what is up there, send me a message. Do not let a lack of availability be the thing that stops you from doing this. If that's the thing that stops you from doing this, then we're probably not right to work together anyway, because I want to work with ones who are going to see that and go, oh, I can't see anything that works for me. Hey, Lindsay, I can't see anything that works for me. Can we do something sooner? Yes, message me. Hi, that's what I'm here for. So do that. Okay, I feel like I'm getting a bit silly now. It's a bit slap happy. So I'm going to go finish my packing so I'm not here all night. That's it. Okay, send me a message. Let me know what came up. We'll chat more later. Okay, goodbye.